Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I am Heather with Rose Hill Paper Cottage, and today I am working on a journal spread. I was challenged by Maggie Journals to use 5 items that she sent me. So I'm showing right now the items that she sent. So there's like that little braid trim, a little bit of a floral fabric, there's this wallpaper, and then there's a menu, and then an invoice. And she's already done her challenge from the 5 items that I sent her. So I'll put her channel below. She is also on Instagram as well. So I'm thinking about these items that she sent me, and I'm trying to figure out which page that I would like to start with. So I really liked this, this first page, but then I was like, well, I don't know if there's enough space. So I'm kind of thinking about this spread here because it's got the smaller sheet in the middle. And this journal is actually one that Cassie, Dust Her Roses, made for me in our swap. I believe that was fairly early this year or maybe last year. I don't remember now. So I'm thinking what to do with this, wallpaper, and it already had that fold mark on it, and then the menu folded. And so I was kind of like, maybe that could just be kind of like a little flip out. And this trim here is a little bit on the bulky side. It's pretty thick. And so I was just trying to figure out, maybe it would make a good little border piece. So I'm going to pull some papers and just kind of see all the different things that kind of might match. There's a little bit of green and a little bit of, pink and a little bit of yellow, but for the most part, everything is kind of like blue and teals. So I'm just kind of like looking through everything that could possibly work. And I always pull like way too many things, but you got to have options, right? So I'm looking through wallpapers now just to see, because I'm like, well, I'll probably might make a tag or a pocket. At this point, I really wasn't sure. I was just kind of like, whatever colors kind of popped out to me, that's what I was gonna, choose from for my selection. So you can use the 5, well, you have to use the 5 items. That's the challenge. But then you can utilize anything else that you have, to make your journal spread. I pull out so much stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've buried all the 5 items. But that's how I work. I mean, I'm just a really messy, crafter. And I have to have all the options out and everything all over the desk. And I got to see everything. So I'm really loving that, wallpaper digital. But I can't find any more of it. I think I even get up and like leave for a little bit to like find that blue and white that's over in the bottom right-hand side there. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing this down, I believe. Well, I got to trim it. I think it was a little bit, crooked. And then I'm inking it a little bit, and I'm using vintage photo, but you'll also see me use the antique linen over the top, because sometimes, especially when you're using the vintage photo on cream colored stuff and you've just, freshly inked your dauber, that it's a little too dark. But that antique linen over it just really, I don't know, I think it looks good. It makes it, less bold and just makes it look a little bit more natural. So I'm kind of figuring out, like, if I want to put something across this to kind of just break it up between, because I'm really leaning towards putting that fabric piece there. So I'm thinking, should I put something there because it's just so solid blue? But then I realized that it's hard for me to kind of visualize, how big it'll be. So I need to go ahead and trim it. And then that way I can really kind of, see the size that I'm working with for when I, look at the flower again. So I just feel like it just needs a little something. So my stuff came in this really pretty floral envelope, and I just really liked the pattern. And so I thought I might, incorporate that somehow. But I just didn't really like it there. I'll come back to it though. So I'm reading this book page, and I didn't really like, like what it was talking about, even though you really won't see it. I was just kind of like, let me see if I have something else. And the color of it was just a little bit, darker than I think I wanted, because the wallpaper was just so, that design on the blue is so white. So I'm rummaging through this mess here and seeing what else I can find, and I keep pulling all this stuff, which I don't even use any of it. But I gotta have all the options, because I just don't know. I think this is the time where I get up and I am looking for, more paper. There you go. So I'm into the ledgers, because there is a little bit of red in the stamp on that invoice, and then also in the flower. And I was kind of well, maybe I should kind of bring in that, reddish pink, I guess. And I'm well, hey, let me go back to this part. So I end up liking that better, and I'm trying to decide if I want it kind of off-centered, or if I want the book page, completely across the wallpaper. So I'm deciding. And honestly, it looked good both ways. But I was I think that's probably more typical of me to just put it in the center or whatever. So I was going to be different, and I was just going to put it off center. Just do something a little bit different. And then I really like the coloring now, with the book page, and then the white from the wallpaper, and then the flowers got a completely different background, almost a yellowish cream. So I'm going to clean off my area a little bit, because I'm going to end up stitching that. I just felt like stitching it would just, I don't give that extra little element. And then I thought, I have white thread in there right now, so I really want black. I kind of want it to stand out. I want it to be a bold stitch. And I think I go around 2 times. And I just do this wonky stitch around. I just like that look sometimes for doing something like this, because, I just feel like it gives it a little bit more character. And it's still white in the bobbin. I didn't change that because it doesn't matter really. So now I'll glue that menu in there and then you'll get to really see what it looks like. And it turned out so cute. I love it. I think it's so adorable. I mean, look how cute that is. It's so cute. So I inked just a little bit. You know, inking is great to give just like a little bit of definition, you know, to kind of make your item just pop a little bit. And you don't have to do very much of it, but just that little bit of it will really just, you know, it just sets it apart from the rest of, you know, everything that's around it. And it doesn't really, you know, show you that, you know, here. I mean, you can kind of see it a little bit, but, you know, in person, it just looks better. So now I'm gluing this invoice here to this shorter page. It was really thin and I didn't think it could probably handle too much weight on it. So this invoice is really, really going to help, you know, basically reinforce that paper and then just make it a more sturdy surface. And it had been folded like in a couple different, you know, center spots there. So I really needed to use that ruler to kind of like create a new fold. So that's what I was doing there. And now this will be, you know, fairly sturdy, you know, really of a paper. Even though the invoice is thin, that paper is thin, it'll work. It'll be really good now. And I just love the stamp, you know, on the bottom. It's such a pretty shade of blue. So I'm considering that, you know, the trim again and kind of this layout. I'm thinking of balance, you know, balancing the colors, balancing, you know, the patterns and the texture. I try to get as much, you know, interest as possible without overdoing it. So I just try like a lot of different little things. And laying things down really helped to show if you know, really... If it just, you know, if everything makes sense, if it looks good. So I'm paper clipping this in place because it keeps wanting to slide down. And I just really want to see everything. So I'm thinking about bringing more texture over to this other side, along with additional color. And I'm kind of considering this paper here. I had, oh my gosh, I can't even think of what that's called. Texture paste. I had done that, you know, quite some time ago. And I had it and I saw it, you know, when I was pulling all my different supplies. And so I was like, that would kind of make a nice little like pocket. So I flip that page back and forth because I like to see what it looks like, you know, when it goes back and forth. Because I'm creating this as one whole spread and I want it to make sense. So I'm just going to glue this in place. And then at the bottom there, I'm kind of looking and I really want that music to still kind of just pop through at the bottom. And then you just see all those layers as the page, you know, is turned. It just looks interesting. So I really love that digital from Ruby and Pearl. It's so pretty and it's just such a striking blue. And I feel like, you know, it really helps to kind of like tie all the different blues together instead of just having, you know, a couple of blues. I just feel like, you know, when that woven piece, that trim piece is not quite the same shade. It's more of like a teal blue as opposed to the wallpaper. And so I feel like if I bring in another blue, then it all just kind of balances out. And so then I'm looking at that other wallpaper piece that I had just had, and I'm thinking of, you know, bringing in some other blues. So I really loved that, like, film bag, but then the image that, you know, the floral image wouldn't have worked. It just would have been, you know, you wouldn't have even seen it sticking up. So I just kind of keep toying with that idea of being able to see it stick up. And actually, I don't even end up using it here. I messed around with it for quite a while, and then I'm just like, it just, you know, usually when something takes a long time to decide, it's not going to work, you know, for me. So she had wrapped all my stuff in that tea dyed paper, and so I thought, oh, I'm just going to use it. I mean, that's great extra writing space, right? So I feel like it'd look really good in that pocket, and then I'm going to use that wallpaper on top of it, just to bring in a little bit more blues, and then also incorporating the green that's, you know, in the fabric flower on the other page. So I'm just kind of determining like where I want it. I just kind of want it on there, like, you know, haphazard kind of, you know, I do this a lot of times. I just like it to look like, you know, I don't know, like you're peeling wallpaper off stuff. I just like the way that that looks. It's just enough of a pop of color without, you know, it's not perfect, you know? And I like that it's not perfect. So I think the sun disappeared on me a little bit, and so I opened the curtains, but then the sun is just going to come blasting through in a little bit. So I've decided kind of where I want it on the paper, and then I'm going to go ahead and just stick it down. And it just feels like it's always kind of been there, and I think distressing the edges of it really helped as well. There we go. And I was like, nope, that's too bright. So kind of a great idea would have been to have made that like into a pocket, but then my flip out wouldn't have worked. So I decided, you know, that I was just going to end up gluing it completely down, but it just adds, you know, it's neutral, but it has a little bit of pattern, but it just adds that just a little bit of something. And then I really like that fabric piece, which I'll pull again here. I really liked it over the top. I just thought it was, you know, really neat. I really just liked the way that it looked. It didn't take me too long to decide that either. So I'll just put a little bit of glue, you know, kind of on the little, you know, image parts. Because obviously this is completely see-through, so you'd really kind of like see glue. And then had I, been able to obviously, like, if the signature wasn't sewn in and everything like that, it would have kind of been cool to make this not only a flip out, but also like a tuck spot. But I just felt because that page was, more, thin and fragile, that it was just better just to, glue it completely down. And then I'm contemplating this trim, but it is a little bit thick. But I'll go ahead and I'll do it anyway. I'll just make a little tab there. And I think it looks cute, even though it's a little bit on the bulky end. So I'll glue this trim down. And I like that you can see it, that I have it stuck out a bit. And I just feel like all these blues are coming together. I don't feel like they're overwhelming, but they really just start to kind of complement each other. Even though, they're in different shades of blue. So I'm kind of contemplating what to back that with. It'd be great as a journal card. And then I look at the piano roll, and I'm considering it, but then it's still, piano roll is flimsy, and then the paper that I printed on is flimsy, and I just figured it would probably curl up, so I kind of need to come up with a different remedy. So I'll get up and I'll leave and I'll go get this, I think it's called drawing paper, draft paper, drawing paper. I can't remember what it is, but it's a great color, and it'll, make this paper a little bit more sturdy, and then I'll put the piano roll over it. Because I like the interest that the piano roll actually adds. And I'm deciding, like, if I should make it a tag or if I should actually just keep it as like a journal card. And then I took that excess fabric and I just kind of made like a little bit of a quick ruffle. And I'm just going to attach it to that invoice. And I think that just looks so cute. It's subtle, it's simple, it ties in that other side of the page. And I love how that turned out too. That's really cute. With the piano paper on the back. And then another little element of another blue. So I just distressed it with a little bit of vintage photo, and then I'll paper clip it, but I still feel like something is missing. I kind of don't like how it's like the same height as the pocket. I'm determining if I want to just staple that ticket to it just for a little bit of interest, and if I want to add a tab to it. But then I don't end up liking the idea of it. I feel like it's just too much. And I could always go back and add it later. See, I get sidetracked very often. So I'm coming back to this and I'm just deciding, like, I love the writing, but then I feel like it should be, you know, it shouldn't be all the way down at the bottom so that you could see the writing. But then it's bare at the bottom. So now I'm figuring out what to do there. So I'll actually end up adding this washi, and it's not true washi. It's really paper tape, and I show how to do that in a previous video, along with making those wallpaper tickets. So you can find those in other videos if you're interested in trying those. You can see when I tap my fingers that I'm still trying to decide. Still trying to think. And I actually will end up adding something later to that trim piece. But I don't do it in this video. I do it afterwards. So you can see that over on Instagram with the photos there. But basically, I mean, this is it. And I had a lot of fun. And I hope you enjoyed watching me as I created. And I thank you for watching this video. And I'll see you in the next one.